What's going on, y'all? It's one of those nights. I haven't had one of these yet, so I'm actually gonna drink some water first. Get your water in, boo-boo. Get your water in. Tonight was going to be the first night in probably about a month that I was not going to record a video tonight. And it's because it is 2 a.m. and I am planning to be up at like 7 to get some things taken care of in the morning. We've got some car troubles that need to be taken care of pretty early. So that's one reason. But the bigger reason I wasn't going to do a video is because I'm actually furious right now. I am very irritated. And I was like, nah, we just gonna skip tonight. But I checked with my spirit and I checked with just that inner feeling of mine. And then I double checked on the yes-no wheel that I usually use that will hit me with a yes or a no when I'm like, should I do this thing? And it said yes, you should do it. So I was like, okay, cool. Maybe it'll make me feel better. Before we get into it, I hope you're doing well. I hope you're having an amazing night, morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you're at. I hope you're feeling good. My name is Yasha. I also go by Tato the Penguin. If you ever see me on, I can't remember the game, but it's the one where you're running around with people online and you guys are trying to go through an obstacle course together. It's either Fumble Guys or Fall Guys. I can't remember. But I literally spent like the past 2 hours playing it, and it's so much fun. And I've discovered I actually am a little competitive. I locked it in so hard during that game, but that's usually a Tato or some form of that. And usually I've been doing these videos for I think a little over a month. They are my authenticity and vulnerability videos that have a little bit of spiritual stuff kind of woven throughout. And I was moved to do this a little over a month ago, and I've been doing a video every night. And so in the videos, because it's every night, you guys get me in different areas of my life. So if I'm having a really good day, you'll get a video where I'm in a really good mood. If you catch me on a day where I'm really tired, usually I can tell, it used to be that I wasn't supposed to watch these videos back, but now I've been allowed, I've been watching them back, and I think it's because I passed the perfectionist stage where I probably would have deleted videos, but I've been getting a lot of commentary from people who are just really enjoying what I'm doing, and so I'm gonna keep going. But yeah, so I hope you're doing well. Show our mobile. I hope you're feeling good. If you're recovering from illness, take it easy until you are fully recovered. Make sure you're getting water in, orange juice, like real orange juice if you can. Make sure you're being kind and compassionate to yourself. That's been something I've been needing to do a lot today. So, now that we've done our introduction, I have a feeling the title of this is going to have something to do with me being angry, because I am very angry. Like I said, I try to keep the vibes on here. I usually try to keep the vibes feeling good. I try to keep it feel good vibes. But something that I realized today was that sometimes that is not what is needed. If you haven't heard of it, there is something called toxic positivity. And essentially what this is when people try to pretend that there are no problems. If you've seen Avatar: The Last Airbender, then you know it's literally, there is no war in Ba Sing Se, or it's like you're putting your head in the sand and you're ignoring, all of the things in your life that maybe aren't the most attractive, and it's because you're really trying to force happiness. But something that I forgot that I remembered today is that there is a place for all of our emotions. There's a place for your emotions. even the ones where you don't feel good. And the thing is just because you don't feel good doesn't mean that the things that you're wanting to happen in your life, that you're manifesting or attracting, it doesn't mean those things are not going to happen. 5 minutes and 15 seconds as I say that. That's not what it means. Your emotions let you know where your head is at. They let you know what you're thinking, what you're going through. And so you can use your emotions as a gauge to figure out what's going on in your mind. And on days where I'm not feeling good, which I've had a couple, and I'm feeling very doubtful about my life, I'm feeling very insecure, those are days to pay particularly close attention to, because that means there's something that I am not taking care of within me. And it's the same with a lot of the emotions that I experience. It means that something is something I'm not necessarily taking care of. I realized today that I'm actually very irritated with a lot of what is going on in the world. Like, yes, there are good things happening. Yes, there are good people out there. Yes, I get positive feedback on here. Yes, I see positive things happen every day when I'm out and I'm doing stuff, but shit, bro. Something that is the most frustrating about being a spiritual person when you are really locked in is that you still experience negative emotions, low vibrating emotions. You still go through them. And when you're dealing with love and light people, they don't understand that it is something that is necessary to sit in and process in. And something that I realized earlier today, was that I have been ignoring some very important spiritually related things. There's some lessons that I've been needing to learn that I've been sidestepping because I was like, well, I'm tired of doing internal work. I want to do things that have to do with what I've manifested. So I don't want to work on my relationship with certain family members. I would prefer to focus on, well, what can I do next to prepare moving into a new space? I don't want to deal with another trying to work through a mental paradigm. I want to focus on how to bring my soulmate to me, I want to focus on those things. But then something I realized today, and something that somebody may need to hear, is that every bit of work that you do on self is propelling you towards that thing. Every bit of work. So when you put off work that you know you should be doing, internally, if you're a person who is quick to anger, and I should probably start working on some healthy anger management things, and I should probably start working on a way to exhibit anger in a healthy way. 8 minutes and 8 seconds as I say that. If that's something you should be working on, that is going to help you, even if you don't see how it connects. 8 minutes and 18 seconds as I say that. So those emotions are important. Oftentimes I try not to complain in these videos because I don't want to wear people out. I don't want to essentially trauma dump on my audience. Being vulnerable is not for people to have to carry my shit for me. And so I don't typically talk about the shit that bothers me. Ooh, calm down, Demi. I usually try to keep everything above board. But in this video, that might be exactly what I do. So this is a trigger warning if you're a person who feels things very heavily, and if you don't like it when people are upset, or if you are very uncomfortable with people being upset, I would say find another one of my videos to watch, perhaps. Maybe the video where I say this video is all over the place. But yeah, so that is your warning. Again, I'm really happy that you guys are here as I do these videos. 9 minutes and 19 seconds as I say that. I have been so irritated by the amount of people who currently are bringing up so much bullshit as if that is the most interesting thing that is happening. If we as a society could get our heads out of our goddamn asses and actually care about the people that we are dealing with, we would be in a much better situation than we are now. I have a handful of good people that I know. And when I say good people, I mean real salt of the earth people. They ask questions. They're curious about you. They want to be there for you. If you can't afford a meal, they got you. They don't have all the money in the world, but they just want to be able to help. 10 minutes and 10 seconds as I say that. Good people who just want to take care of other people. Good people who just want to see other people win. And I see these people and I'm like Kylo Ren, more. There should be more people who care and who are physically doing things to show they care, not caring from the safety of being behind a computer screen. And I'm not saying you have to go out and do charity work. I'm not saying you have to go out and do anything in particular. But when you're engaging with other people in conversation and you are talking to people or you're passing people, you can put positive energy out there. It doesn't take a whole lot. It just takes having the confidence to follow through with an intention. So like for me, something that I really try to do is during conversations, I try to hold space for the other person. I try to make sure that I get my point across and that I'm setting proper boundaries, 11 minutes and 11 seconds as I say this, but I always try to make sure that I hold space for other people. And there are a couple people, there have been a few people in my life who do not do the same thing. When I have conversations with some people, their point is to get their point across and that's it. Their goal is to be heard and nothing else. They are very self-centered. And I have been one of these people. And occasionally I do fall back into it and I have to catch myself and be like, hey, yo, you're not the only person in this conversation. It's not just about you. The other person is also here too. You're a human being living a physical life where other people are able to engage with you. So it is important that you remember that when you are in conversation with people, it's not just about you. Yes, you are the main character of your show, and other people are tertiary characters. But at the same time, you can be kind, you can be loving, you can be caring. 12 minutes and 12 seconds as I say this. You can step out of your space and care about other people. But there are people that I know and that I've met throughout my life who they clearly do not care about other people. They care more about their idea of how the world should work. They care more about themselves. They care more about sacrificing themselves. They care more about the rules and the regulations that they have set into place. This is something that I actually heard, that people who tend to live life in a very, like they're very fearful of things, the way that they live their life is to protect themselves. So they're not like, they could be people who have like a really kind heart, but because they're so afraid of change, because they're so afraid of being in danger and people harming them, they actively do damage when they're out engaging with other people because they act very selfishly, because they're not thinking about other people. An example of this could be if you see somebody struggling and, you know, somebody's about to drop something, you're in public, everything's safe. For all practical purposes, you could go and help them, but you don't. And it's because of some type of preconceived fear that you haven't worked through. Now, there are valid fears. Like for me as a woman, if I'm driving at night late and I see somebody on the side of the road, I do not stop because that is a safety hazard. That would be very silly for somebody my size and my height to stop at night on the side of the road and to try to help people. I'm not saying do dangerous shit, but you could probably think of one or two things in your own mind, in your own life, where you're like, really, all a person would have to do is this thing and it'd be fine. Me? Before doing this video, I had a disagreement with a family member, and the disagreement comes down to core beliefs. And the core beliefs are definitions of what we believe. And this is something that I thought about this morning, where it was like, what do you believe? What are your ethics? What are your morals? What is your truth? And for me, I think one of my biggest truths is that when you are dealing with people in love, your goal should be what works for both of us. When you are conversating with other people, it should not just be you trying to get your point across. It shouldn't just be you asking for other people to care while simultaneously not even bothering to care about the other person. These types of people are energy vampires. They're the types of people who they roll up to you and they always are coming at you with their hands open, but there's nothing that they provide in return. I'm not just talking about money. I'm talking about time. I'm talking about a listening ear. I'm talking about being genuinely supportive of another person. So when I've said in other videos that you have to be careful who you surround yourself with, I mean that shit. 15 minutes and 15 seconds. I mean that shit. Because there are people who actively, and sometimes it's the people who are the closest people to you, who are just waiting for an opportunity to get under your skin. They're just waiting. They're just hoping that you fuck up so that they can feel good about their lives that they're not working on. Let me get some water going. It's crazy because I really wanted to flip a chair and lose my fucking shit earlier. But I think this is good because it will allow me to sleep. I'm the type of person to where I don't sleep well when I've had a conflict with somebody. And I do find it interesting that there are people, and I've had partners like this. It's crazy when you share a bed or you share a home with a person that does not care about how you feel before you go to sleep, when you expressly said that you don't like having negative conversations before you go to bed. There's just something crazy about a person who can know that that's how you feel and continue to push issues right before you go to sleep. There's something really crazy about that. Don't do that. If you have a partner or a person or a roommate or somebody you share space with and they tell you, listen, if we get into an argument right before I go to sleep, I cannot sleep. You can always tell when something's going to come up. And I knew before this conversation was happening that I should not have said anything. But I was more focused on getting my point across than actually sitting back, slowing down and saying, let me see what the energy of the other person is. Because ordinarily, I'm pretty good at clocking the energy that a person is coming at me with. Because even if somebody's pretending, they're like, oh, everything's fine. You can tell. You can tell. You can tell when people are ready to roll up to you on some bullshit. 17 minutes and 70 seconds as I say that. For those of you who have incredibly close family members who are narcissists, I'm sorry and I feel for you. And this is something that I am noticing is actually very common. I'm noticing a lot of very close dynamics. I'm noticing husband and wives where either or are narcissists, or people who are closely and romantically related. I see parents who are narcissists. I see close siblings, boyfriend, girlfriend. It seems to be that it doesn't matter what ethnicity you are, where you come from. Narcissism is something that runs rampant in a lot of people's lives. And it's something that, especially if you're dealing with like a grandfather or an aunt or an uncle or like an older mentor or anybody who's older than you who is close to you, it's difficult when you're dealing with a person who is a narcissist, because by nature that person cannot care. They can't. They literally are only in it in a self-centered way. Now, there are people who understand that they are actually diagnosed narcissists. I've actually seen a couple of people back when I was on TikTok who they were like, yeah, no, I was diagnosed with, I think it's narcissistic disorder. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. I would go look that up. And they talk about how difficult it is to live life because they're thinking from a state of self always. And those people, because they're diagnosed, they understand that they are. But some of the most difficult people to deal with in life are the people who are close to you who do not realize that they are narcissists. They can see it in other people, or they claim to be able to see it in other people, but they don't see it in themselves. I was actually worried for many years that I might have been a narcissist, because there were times where I was like, man, when this person's talking, I just want them to hurry up so that they can ask me about me. And one of the ways that I know that I don't have it is that there is an innate willingness to like the very nature of being self-growth focused, as in, you know, it could be the other person, but let me go back and let me think, what did I do wrong in this situation? What could I have done better? Was I as loving or as kind as I could have been? Asking yourself those questions seriously and working on yourself If you're the type of person who is working on yourself, I don't think you have to worry about having narcissistic disorder, my love. I don't think so. I mean, again, I would go look it up. But it's funny because the people in my life who've told me I think I might be a narcissist are never those people. It's always the people who, if you were to call them a narcissist, they get super defensive. They get very angry. And they're almost appalled that you would even say that to them. Because they're like, how could you? And it's like, but I mean, if you don't feel this is true, and I'm just bringing it up, because if anybody tells me, oh, I think you're a narcissist, I'd be like, what do I do that makes you think that? Like, I'm ready to have a conversation. And I'm not saying that everybody should respond the way I respond, obviously. But, bro, it's just crazy to live in a world where a person or people can claim to love you. They can claim to have your back. But then all of their actions do not show that. And again, I'm a broken record on this. If you are dealing with people who are saying that they love you, they're saying that they love you, but their actions are always pointing to the contrary, you have to reevaluate that relationship and the closeness of that relationship. You've got to start putting checkpoints in place to where if people are going to deal with you, you only allow them a certain amount of clearance. And I have actually messed up in this regard a lot in my life. I've given people access to me that should not have had access to me because they didn't earn it. They didn't earn me telling them a lot of the private stuff that I told them about me, all of the struggles that I shared with them. Those were things that they did not earn. Now, when I share with you guys, I'm doing it because I'm so moved, and it is a very healing process for me, and I feel so much better. Excuse me. After I tend to finish these videos, I tend to feel a lot better about where I'm at in life, and based on where I am before, usually afterwards I feel better. But when you're dealing with people in your life who they're right there, they want to be in your business all the time, they want to be able to talk about what you're doing, take a step back. Take a step back. I was just talking to my siblings about somebody in my life who never reached out to have a relationship with me. Never. A family member of mine. And when I say family member, I have a lot of family. I have a very extended list of family. 22 minutes and 23 seconds as I say that. So maybe some of you come from cultures or, situations where you have very large families. So hello to you. But I have one family member in particular who, an extended family member, who does not have a relationship with me at all. Like at all. And when I went to visit her at one point, she was not asking about me. She was asking about other family members of mine so that she could get all the tea and get all the drama on it. And I thought it was so weird because I was like, we don't really have a relationship. And I was here, for a week so that we could bond, so that we could talk and I could get to know you better as an adult. Because as a kid, like you were there, but you weren't really there. So, I like to keep all of the stuff that I say vague because even in being angry and being upset, nobody else signed up for me to do these videos. I signed up to do them, but nobody else in my life did. So the reason why I keep people's, identities as vague as possible is because in this vulnerability journey, it's me. It's my journey. If those other people want to write books and be vulnerable and talk about their stuff, they can. But I'm always going to be as vague as I can with these, especially when I'm upset or angry. Do not give people access to you just because they've been there. Just because they've been physically in your vicinity. Don't do that. Don't do that. Because what happens is then those are the people that hit you when you're down. Those are the people that when you're really trying to do better for yourself, they don't really have much to say. They're not really very supportive. They're only supportive when you are not doing well. And that's when they come in. Oh yeah, but that family member. So all she wanted to do was talk about other people's drama in their lives. And I was like, that's not why I came here. Like, I came here so that we could bond. Spent the entirety of that week relatively silent because her thing was telling me about what she was doing and all of the stuff that she was going through. And I was there doing a little bit of work with her and some volunteer work, and it just blew my mind. At the end of every day, I craved conversation where somebody asked me about me, because every day it was just her talking about herself. And there would be moments where I'd be like, oh yeah, like I totally understand that, I totally get that, I'm validating your emotions, I'm right here with you. Also, you know, this thing happened to me, so I can, you know, talk to you about it because, and then she would interrupt me and she would just keep going. And that is a person who I had been trying to have a relationship with for years because of the closeness. 25 minutes and 25 seconds, as I say that. I had been trying to have a close relationship with this person, and they never gave me anything. And this tends to be a theme in my life, where there are people who I am working so hard to maintain a relationship with. I will tell people I'm not usually a person who wants to text like that. But I'll reach out to people, I'll ask them how they're doing, and I'll get dry ass messages back. Doesn't happen with everyone, and especially now that I've really narrowed down my circle to a few very key people. But it used to be that I got my feelings hurt a lot. And again, I was always like, man, if we could just have more people who are the types of people who I really fuck with, which are the kind people, the loving people, the people who want to reach out, the people who want to know what's going on with you, the people who, if they see a problem, they're like, well, how can we overcome this problem together? Not, well, you did something wrong. Well, you failed. I mean, yeah, sometimes I do screw up. Sometimes we do screw up as people. But that doesn't mean that we are bad people. I think that's one of the reasons why for my entire life I've tried to over-explain myself to people, because I'm like, if you know why I'm doing what I'm doing, you'll understand that, yeah, I made a mistake, I may have misread the situation, but at the core, I really care. I'm really trying to get things done. And when you're a person that cares, one of the most frustrating fucking things on the planet is dealing with people that don't. People that are very comfortable watching you squirm. People that are very comfortable just doing their own thing and not giving a single fuck. It's so frustrating. The amount of people that, when it comes to politics, will hit me with, well, this person cares about X, Y, and Z, and that's why I'm voting for them. And then when I'm like, well, I read up on this policy, and this policy actually 100% negatively affects me, so obviously I'm gonna go this other way. It's an argument. Why are we arguing? Why are we arguing? I'm not saying that you're dumb for the decision that you're making. I'm not saying that you're ignorant. I'm not trying to come at you. I'm just saying that if there is something that has to do with protecting people, and I'm one of these people that needs to be protected, that's what I'm gonna do. That's what I'm gonna do. That's why I do not discuss politics with people. Because politics is not something where people tend to talk about the people they care about. Politics is usually a conversation when I'm hearing it. Politics is a conversation of I'm right and I'm going to try to convince you that you're wrong. It's not coming from a loving perspective. Actually, this is something that frequently has happened at every college that I have attended. Every college I have attended, there have been quite a few people who, whenever we get into a philosophical discussion or a psychological discussion, you're trying to tell me about what's right and wrong, and you completely bypass the part where you care about human beings. Completely bypass it. And again, it's really funny because the kind people, the non-judgy people, the people who want to see everybody win, don't tend to be the loudest people in the room. Sometimes they are, and I appreciate those people. I have a few women in my life who they're some of the most caring people I know, and they will tell you, and they come to people's defense at the drop of a hat. And again, if there were more people like that in this world, I think we would be much better off. But it's crazy because, there are times where I forget myself. There are times where I'm so happy about where I'm at, and I feel so good about where I'm at. I forget that people, 29 minutes and 29 seconds as I'm about to say this, I forget that people are who they are and that they choose to be who they are. it's easy for me to love people from a distance that are doing things that I see as maybe not being the best as far as when they engage with other people. Like, I always find it weird when I talk to people and they're like, oh yeah, I called such and such to let them know I needed some money. And I'm like, oh yeah, like, are y'all close or whatever? And they're like, no. And I'm like, what do you mean no? I'm like, you don't have a relationship with the person who you're constantly asking for things? And they're like, no, I just asked them. And I'm like, is that how it's set up? Did they tell you that they would prefer not to have a conversation and y'all just kind of do your own thing? And it's crazy because there's never an answer to that question. It's kind of like, oh no, yeah, this is just what I do. And I'm like, bro, that is user behavior. 30 minutes and 30 seconds as I say that. If you have people in your life who you call to vent to, or who you call and you need to borrow money from them, or if there are any people in your life who are providing you support, they're there for you. First off, yeah, if there are people who are doing that for you, invest in a relationship with that person. Don't just talk to these people only when you need them. I've cut off so many people from my past because I would try to maintain relationships with them and they only ever called me when they needed something or wanted something. They would start with the cursory, oh, hey, how you doing? And I'd be like, I'm good. I'm asking them, a bunch of questions. I'm like, how you doing? I haven't heard from you in forever. And they're like, yeah, well, I'm all right, but I need this thing. After they get that thing from me, they go ghost again. Something that I was not aware of when I started caring really hard for people. I hate talking through the shaky voice. I hate that shit. When I hear people crying and they're trying to talk, I'm like, shut the fuck up, bro. Just lock it in. Stop crying. I used to be a person that guarded my heart really hard. I said I didn't care about people because when I cared about people and they showed me through their actions that they did not, 32 minutes and 32 seconds as I say this, and they showed me that they did not care about me, it hurt. It hurt. I have had situations in the past where I would be like, well, no, yeah, fuck them. Fuck those people. I don't care about them. If you don't care about me, I don't care about you. I was very on that. But now, because I believe that I am love, I believe one of the greatest powers that we have as human beings is our capacity and our ability to love people deeply, to care about people on a deep level. But I didn't realize that I was going to continuously run into situations where I had to practice that boundary setting in tandem with that love. Because love for me is making sure I place proper boundaries. So if I'm in a conversation with somebody and I can see that they're trying to start a fight with me, or I can see that they're trying to manipulate me in the conversation, that is my cue to dip out. That's my cue to leave. But there are times where I engage in conversation and I'll push through it. And I know I shouldn't. I push through it because I'm like, no, I have to help you understand why this is important. I have to help you understand why this is a source of contention. When you are a loving person and you care, I get why people become cynical. I get why people do the whole fuck loving other people, I'ma just be an asshole. I get it. But when you are a lover girl or a lover boy or a lover person, this comes with the territory. hurt feelings comes with the territory. And I used to think that people in the position that I'm in, who love other people, I used to think that they looked stupid as fuck. I was like, that's so dumb that you would allow yourself to be so in love with a person. Because true love is vulnerability. True love is knowing that this person has the potential to hurt you. But when you truly love yourself, you truly take care of yourself. I read this thing on Instagram and I liked it immediately because it said, when a bird lands on a branch, it's not that the bird trusts that the branch won't break while it's on it. It's that the bird trusts its wings to carry it. So if the branch breaks, it's going to be okay. It's going to be fine. And I know, at the end of the day, even if every person in my life currently, even if every person was like, you know what? You're too much. You know? I'm gonna back up. You know? I would not regret loving them. I wouldn't. It truly is better to have loved and lost, I think. And I think these are things that I needed to understand before meeting my soulmate, because there are going to be challenges. There are going to be arguments, because that's the nature of being in a relationship. And so if I am not able to confidently communicate or know that if I'm upset that I'm going to be okay, I'll be fine, I'll dust myself up, I'll pick myself back up, then I think that person, I would unknowingly be putting a lot of pressure on them. That's not what I want. I don't want my companion to be a replacement for, my own ability to take care of myself. I think confidence is really being in a place where you know that you're going to be okay and that you've got yourself. And if you're watching this video, then you've done that. 37 minutes and 23 seconds as I say that. If you're watching this video, then you have done that. Because you're still here. You've made it through so much bullshit. You've made it through so much trauma. You've made it through family members gaslighting you, lying to you. You've made it through 37 minutes and 37 seconds as I'm saying this. You've made it through people not supporting you. A lot of you have made it in spite of your family, not because of them. I have a feeling that somebody watching this video has not had support in the dreams that they have and in the things that they're wanting to do. And I'm so proud of you for continuing to move forward in your life, even though you didn't have the support that you needed or that you wanted. I've always said, I don't think anybody makes it out of childhood without some form of trauma. I don't think we do. I think even when you have parents who were doing, like they were on it, there are still situations, I think, that take place when you're in that really sensitive place where your brain is still developing and you're kind of just figuring out who you are before you get to that place where you're like, okay, I'm kind of locked in. 38 minutes and 38 seconds as I say that. And everybody is always dealing with something. And I think this is why I tend to overstep a lot. I know this is one of the reasons I overstep. Like, I'll not overstep, but I try to show people how much I care about them instead of just allowing my actions to speak for themselves. I try to talk to them. I try to do more things for them. But also, keep in mind, there are some people in your life, it doesn't matter what you do for them. They have already decided that you do not care. Don't try to force people to believe you. If you are a carer, you've got a big heart, you're a loving person, do not try to force others to see that. There are people in this world who love or not who love, but who will benefit from your presence. And there are people that do. 39 minutes and 39 seconds as I'm saying this, there are people who, when they see your face, when they hear your voice, they light up. Do not waste an ounce of your time trying to prove to people who clearly are not interested in hearing you out. They have already created a story in their mind about what they think about you. Do not let those people exhaust you and tire you and make you cynical. Because the light that you have, other people see it. Other people recognize it. And actually, some of the people who you've constantly been trying to prove to them that you are this loving person, a lot of those people see that and they don't like it. They don't like that you're loving and that you're caring. To them, you're the super cute girl in high school or in college who just was so nice and everybody just liked them. People who everybody just likes, they have a lot of haters. And it's not because they did anything. It's just because they're living their lives. And the haters is bad because they're not just living theirs. 40 minutes and 40 seconds as I say that. I have a feeling if you're watching this video, you're one of these people. Especially if you're watching now. 40 minutes in, you are one of these people. You are a light to people around you. You speak life into other people when you compliment them. When you're sitting there and you smile lightly at somebody. You are the good that we need to see more of in the world. You are. You are. So even though I get fucking pissed, and I know I didn't go off, I didn't lose my shit, and I think it's because I cannot be angry for too long, because if I am, it's hard for me to get out of it. It's hard for me to get out of it. It's one of the things that I've actually always been scared of. Vulnerability moment. One of the things that I've been scared of about myself is my ability to justify a grudge. Like, I think I said in another video, I don't have it in me to hold grudges because it's exhausting and it's tiring. And at the end of the day, I just want to love on people. I just want to have a good time. I just want to live my life. But there was a period of time in my life where I could. I lived in an apartment complex in Boston. And in this apartment complex, we would get the fire alarms going off randomly at least twice every week. There was 1 month where it started and it just kept happening. It got to the point where I couldn't sleep comfortably and I couldn't sleep well. This is when I was getting up at 4 a.m. to go to work every day. And I could not sleep because I had anxiety that the fire alarm was going to go off. And when we left that community, that was in 2020, for the next 3 years, would go back periodically to Yelp. And I wrote this long review about the fire alarms going off, and whenever we would talk to the apartment complex, they didn't know what happened. They didn't know what happened. And there were people who were coming down the steps trying to go outside because they obviously locked down all the elevators when a fire alarm goes off, and it's elderly. They're people with their pets trying to get their pets together, and this was happening twice a week at random at any given night for at least 2 months. It got to the point where I knew many people who were in that apartment complex because we would be out there at 4 a.m., 3 a.m., 2 a.m., just out there in the cold. And it happened a lot when it was snowing. So we would just be out there until the fire department came to let everybody back into the building, because all of the doors in the front of the building where you could get into the elevators to go back up to the living quarters, they locked automatically. It was one of those communities. And I went on Yelp. I wrote this big review about it and talked about how they did not take care of it. They did not reimburse anybody anything. They didn't try to do anything for their tenants. And the review got hella likes. It got hella supports, and people were like, yep, I was planning on moving in here, but I won't now that I've seen this because I can't afford that. I work, or I have children, I have infants, and now it's already hard to get them to sleep. My review, and then, so I reviewed on Yelp, and then I also reviewed on their site. They took my review down, and then they changed their name, but it was still the same management, but they changed the name of the apartment complex. And I went back in there, I copy pasted it, because I always saved the stuff that I wrote. And I would go back every couple of months. I would go back and I would repost it. I have it in me to hold grudges and to be petty, but I try not to choose that life. Because again, I just don't want to do that. 44 minutes and 44 seconds. I don't think it's a good foundation for my life. I like to feel good. I like to love on people. I like to support people. Yeah, I do lose it sometimes. And I'm like, listen, that was a justifiable crash out. Like, sometimes we all need it. Sometimes we all need it. I'm really glad that I'm going to be getting up and early and getting out and doing things, because staying indoors after I have like been on the phone or in person and I've just had it with somebody and I've been arguing with them, or it's been a discussion where I just can't seem to get it through the other person's skull. What, like bro, can we just talk? Can we just have a conversation? When that happens, I gotta get out. But yeah, it's crazy. And I know it's hard for those of you where you set the boundary that you won't be having conversations with people if they're going to mistreat you, and then they invade your personal space. 45 minutes and 45 seconds as I say this, they invade your personal space anyways, because they don't give a fuck about your boundaries. I saw something that said, well, what are we supposed to do when narcissistic people in our lives, when we set boundaries with them and they don't respect them and they keep going? Because to narcissists, boundaries are just, they're nothing. They're nothing. A narcissist will walk right over your boundary with no problem. They see no problem with it. And then if you say something, they victimize themselves. Well, I think that's a certain type. No. I think most narcissists will victimize themselves in a situation where they're being called out on bad behavior. And then they're like, well, I'm just a shitty human being. Nobody said that. We just said that we didn't appreciate what you did. And it is difficult. I'm not gonna lie to you. When you have people in your life that, again, like I have a friend and one of her roommates is just awful, god awful, and she's like, I can't do anything about it. I'm forced to be in this situation with this shit human being. And I was like, man, and she's like, I don't talk to her. I try to avoid her at all costs. I try to be out of town as often as possible. But when I'm there, she just fucking irks me. And to those of you who are dealing with living situations like that, I am so sorry. Oh my God. Hold my hand. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. But what I can tell you is there are ways around this. I very quickly realized what my mistake was. And my biggest mistake when it comes to discourse with anybody is that I didn't slow down. I tend to think really fast. And a lot of that comes from the anxiety that I had growing up of constantly having to be the person to fix things. And so I always very eagerly seek to answer questions and to defend. If I pause and I think about a question somebody has asked me and I sit on it for a second, I usually don't make the same type of like mistakes in conversations. And by mistake, I mean, if somebody comes to me and they're challenging me, like they clearly want to start a problem, usually I will sit, I'll feel out my spirit, and then I will just ask questions. I'll be like, so what exactly are you asking? Like, let's get down to the bottom of what's going on. If you are dealing with a person in your life who is a narcissist, you need to look up gray walling. Look it up. Because there is actually a way. If you are struggling and you're like, I just can't fucking do this, go and look up ways to deal with narcissists. 48 minutes and 48 seconds as I say that. Because this is something I've seen a lot of good people lose their light, and they get so tired and they're so worn out because they're in close proximity to a person who's literally an energetic vampire. So look that up. And the reason I want you to look it up, and I don't want to just tell you ways, is because I, A, am tired and could get that shit wrong. And B, I think there may be a couple of different ways to deal with narcissistic people. So I want you to make sure that you find something that works for you. again, I never want to recommend people do things and then I know how the internet works. So I don't want somebody to be like, oh my gosh, yes, Yasha told me this thing, here I go. And then you do it and it doesn't work. And then you're looking at me like, you ain't shit. And I'm like, I'm sorry. It wasn't meant to be like that. But yeah, my biggest mistake in the issue that I had like a couple hours ago, 49 minutes and 49 seconds, I'm saying this, the issue that I had was that I didn't slow down. I didn't give myself enough time to respond. And if you're a person who deals with stress and anxiety and you panic, this is a valuable skill to learn. Learn to slow down when you are engaging with other people because they can fucking wait. They can wait. If somebody asks you a question, why didn't you do this? You are allowed to sit there and be like, just give me a second. I'm processing. And if a person's like, oh, you trying to come up with something? No, bitch, I'm trying to keep from crashing out on you. I'm trying to keep from flying your head because you came at me on some whack-ass energy. I'm keeping us both safe. The fuck? No, but seriously. Like, slow down. See how your body feels. Process that. And then when you respond, do it from a place of confidence, even if you don't have an answer. For me, there are a lot of situations where I don't know. I don't have answers to questions, and I used to feel that I was stupid because of that. I had a big insecurity growing up about being stupid, being insecure. I actually had a person that I was dating at one point was very good at math, and he would ask me math questions. He was like, oh yeah, because I was doing this and this and this, and I was trying to tell him, you know, this math equation, what's the answer? It's easy, right? And I was like, it's actually not easy for me. I don't do math easily off the top of my head. That's not one of my strong suits. And I actually got into a whole argument with this partner because he was like, come on, it's not that hard. Like, what is, like, you know, this times this divided by this? And I was like, bro. And I started crying. And it was then when I realized, oh, I have a lot of insecurities around feeling stupid as fuck. Because growing up, I was not the greatest scholastically, 51 minutes and 51 seconds. So, like, yeah, I have my master's degree because it was something that I worked really hard on, but I have not always been great with school. Exams, tests, mathematics, biology, chemistry, geography, like that type of stuff just didn't stick for me. It just didn't. So, if you weren't very good at school, but you're interested in going back to school for something that you're really interested in, I would say think about it, because I got out of my bachelor's degree. I was actually I almost went on academic probation for a while. And for those of you that don't know, academic probation is when your GPA, like your cumulative like grade point average, is so low that the school is gonna drop your ass. That does happen. And I got close. I was like, yee. But, you know, I was able to pull the GPA back up so that I could graduate. But and I like learning. I just don't like how school is set up, if I'm being honest. But anyways, I usually will answer questions very quickly in order to try and show that I am intelligent. But in fact, I have read that slowing down and not being so quick to answer questions actually does show intelligence, because it shows that you already know that you're intelligent. There's no need for you to rush. Rushing is something that we are usually made to feel like we have to do. And usually it benefits the other person if you're rushing. If you're rushing, then you're not thinking clearly. You're not considering what they're saying. When somebody's like, oh, can you help me with this? You're like, yeah. And you don't think about it at all. Now, again, if you feel it in your gut, that's different. Moving based on gut feelings. I have a few people in my life, they're so locked in. They're very good at that, where they do not need to take the time because they've worked so hard on locking it in 53 minutes and 53 seconds. As I say this, they've worked so hard at locking it in with their intuition that their intuition speaks to them immediately. And I'm hoping to get to that point. I really am. I still fuck up. I've been working on my shadow work journey. It is 2025 now, and I've been working on this since 2019 is when I really started locking it in and really trying to do the therapy thing and doing the shadow work thing, where I'm working through my trauma, my toxic views, my unhealthy habits, and really just trying to be a better human being for myself and for other people. Did y'all hear that? That was my elbow. But yeah, slow down. You don't have to have the answer immediately. In interviews, I had an interview at some point last year, and something that was really nice that I did differently was that when they would ask me a question, I would sit there for a minute, and I'd think, and I'd ponder it, and then I would answer. The first time I did it, I felt so nervous. I felt so anxious. My palms were sweaty and they were shaking. I had to like put them in my lap, but I was so nervous at first because slowing down after being, it's like if you're used to driving 90 on the highway, then 90 becomes your normal. So if you're driving 75, which is the actual speed limit, you feel like you're going at the speed of snail. So for some of you, slowing down is going to be very hard because you're used to moving too fast. Moving fast doesn't necessarily get you everything that you want. Now, yes, the universe likes when you move fast when it comes to when you get a nudge, when you get a feeling that this is something you should do. That's when the universe likes you to move fast. But when it comes to like living your daily life and it comes to engaging with other human beings, taking the time to really let something sit in your spirit, 55 minutes and 55 seconds, as I say that, it's healthy. It's good for you to take your time. And I know some of you are thinking something that I've thought very frequently, which is there are so many rules to this shit. This is such bullshit. How am I supposed to remember all of this? And I actually received an answer that worked for me. Check your spirit. You may need to meditate and find an answer that works for you. But I found for me, I actually don't need to remember all these things. What I need to make sure that I do is when I wake up in the morning, I am to meditate. I am to lock in, and I'm to remember who the fuck I am. I try to do that before bed, and I try to do that in the morning. I'm going to admit something to y'all I'm actually very embarrassed about. I haven't done that in probably 2 weeks. Because as soon as I hopped up, I was on my phone expecting to see some news about the changes that I've wanted to happen. So I have not been on top of journaling, and I have also not been on top of meditating in the morning and meditating at night. When I was doing that, you could not break me. You could bring me any negativity, and I would be like, there it goes. Like, I was not having any of it. But when I don't do that, I am all kinds of vulnerable to the bullshit that people bring to me throughout the day. I'm nervous, I'm anxious, I'm not feeling good, I'm not eating well, I'm not sleeping well. This is why I think it's so important to find a way to meditate and really focus on grounding yourself and your spirit in a way that works for you. I was reading something. I actually pulled a card, an oracle card this morning that said one of the things that you're not doing is grounding yourself. And I was like, I know. And it was like, you need to ground yourself. One of the ways you can do that is to sit, deep breathe, and focus on the rising and falling of your chest and stomach. Focus on the breath as you're breathing in and breathing out. Another thing you can do is to rub your hands together. You can also clap. You can stomp. Going for a walk also really helps. It's important that you pull yourself out of your mind. For my overthinkers, for my people out there who get very nervous and panicky, grounding is really, really important. And it's definitely something that you should look at all of the ways. I just go on Pinterest and look up grounding techniques for spiritual people. So you should definitely do that. I hate when I'm talking and like there becomes like this little pool of like mashugana. That's better. But yeah, work on some good grounding techniques so that you can ground yourself. So that when bullshit pops off, so that when people who you love treat you in a way that is less than savory, if you are going to crash out on them, you can do so from a place of confidence. It can be a calculated crash out. If you're going to haul back and slap somebody, you want to do that with confidence. You want to be able to say afterwards, I meant every bit of that slap that I did. You don't want to do something, fly off the handle and be like, I can't believe I did that. No, you want to be 10 toes down on that crash out that you have. You want to be able to support that years later. I'm all for that. So I actually do feel a lot better after doing this video. I am going to be able to get some sleep. It's going to be an early day tomorrow. I'm very excited. And I think as long as I take at least 10 minutes to meditate before I go to sleep tonight, I should be fine. And then tomorrow morning, when I wake up, I set my alarm typically so that I have time to do that. I haven't been doing it, but I'm gonna get back on it. I'm gonna get back on it. I realized in one of the videos that I did where I was like, where's my stuff? Or it was something me talking about wanting the things that I've been attracting. And I was like, I feel really bad when I do videos constantly talking about the fact that I have doubts. But I realized how often doubts do slip in. That's why it's important to meditate. That's why it's important to constantly remind yourself, especially if you've had years of doubting yourself. You've had years of things not working out and you constantly reinforcing, see, I knew it wasn't going to work out. You've just been reinforcing that for years upon years upon years. And if you're older than me, I'm about to be 32. If you're older than me, you've had even more years under your belt. You're a vet. And so be patient with yourself as you're in this place of learning to trust, learning to not even be hopeful, but to know in your gut that things are for you. You know? Yeah. Bro, I tell you what, some motherfuckers just be out here stepping on your nerves, and there are always going to be people like that. There are always going to be people like that. But when you get to a place where you're super confident and you're able to lock it into your spirit, those people don't matter. They don't matter. It doesn't matter how close they are to you, in proximity or in relation. It doesn't matter. Because you're confident. Because you have really put the work in. Because the truth of the matter is other people don't make you feel things. Like, I was angry, furious earlier. But it wasn't because the person I was talking to made me angry. It's because I did not prep myself before dealing with that person. There are some people you have to prep yourself before you deal with them. If you have to deal with them, at least until you get to a point where you're no longer in their vicinity or you're no longer having to be on the phone with them every day because you need their help doing something, until you get to a point where you can literally hit the, I'm going no contact. Like, when you have to engage, and that's really who I'm talking to. I'm talking to the people who are stuck in a position where they have to engage with these people. It's important that you prep yourself before you have conversations, which is why meditating and working on things in the morning and at night is good, because if you do it in the morning, you haven't even run into this person. I would suggest you get up earlier, at least 10 minutes, so that you can meditate before you check your phone, before you talk to people, before you roll over and say good morning to the person sleeping next to you. Meditate. Because when you get yourself right, it doesn't matter what the other person does. Yeah, if it's a person you love dearly and they say some shit to you, or they hurt your feelings, or they show that they don't care about you, it is gonna hurt. But I do feel like it hurts less. Like for me, the person that I was talking to is a person who has frequently hurt my feelings in the past. Frequently. But again, I have to engage with this person. And I'm a loving person, so I like to give people chances. I used to be queen, cut them off. Cut everybody off. But I like to give people chances. And that can be a mistake on my part. I admit that willfully. But I got to a point with this particular person that I was actually able to deal with all of their bullshit. I would have weeks where they would be going off and I'd be fine. I'd be fine. I'd be good. I was like, man, that's really unfortunate for you. Like, I was fine. But anytime I'm not locked in and I'm not ready for it, I'm pulled into some bullshit. So, y'all protect your peace. And sometimes protecting your peace means getting to a point spiritually and emotionally to where you realize that there is no value in the things that people are saying to you. This is actually something that I was told before I started doing anything online. I was told you shouldn't put too much stock in the comments that you receive, whether they be positive or negative. Because the thing is that everybody's always going to have an opinion, and those opinions change with the wind. And it's true. and I mean what I've said. Like, I really enjoy reading you guys' comments, and they do cause me to think. I am the type of person who will delete negative comments because I'm like, that's some negativity. That don't need to be here. Why is that here? I mean, if I got to a point where I had, I don't know, like 100,000 followers, I wouldn't be able to go in and delete stuff, you know? So I think at that point, I would not really be able to do that because it'd be too many people. But right now where we're at, again, if you're still watching my video at this point, welcome. Not every video is like this one. So if you're like, man, this video was a banger, there may not be another one that's super similar to this for a while. It's gonna be, I mean, I do these videos every night, like I said. And I really wasn't about to do one tonight. I was this close because I was like, I'm just too angry. I'm gonna lose it. I'm gonna say some shit I don't mean, or I'm gonna get upset. But the truth of the matter is when I am angry, it's actually a good time for me to reflect on why I'm angry. And my biggest thing was that I just felt disrespected. Like I just, during the conversation, I felt the familiar strings of, oh, I don't give a fuck about you. I just want to fight. And those types of people, I used to be that type of person. So I can't even be mad for real. And again, if I had been like, if I had meditated and I'd been ready, I would have been fine. If I had slowed down and I had asked questions, conversation wouldn't have happened. But the reason the conversation happened was because I let my guard down. And I was on some, well, maybe I should try to, you know, help out. And no, bro. Again, I think there's a difference between being loving and allowing people to walk all over you, allowing people to have you in your fifis, and just allowing people to do whatever they want. I think there's a difference. But it is tough. I'm not going to hold you. 6 minutes and 6 seconds as I say that. It is tough when you choose to be a loving person and you choose to be a lover girl, lover boy, lover person, and you choose to live from a space of love. You do open yourself up to people disappointing you and hurting your feelings. It comes with the territory. Now, I think as you practice healthy ways to love people, because really that to me is what love is. Love is healthy. When people say love hurts or love sucks, no, it itself does not. It's other people that suck. Love itself is amazing. Love itself has done so many amazing things for people, for the world, for their health. Some people, they've been on their deathbed and then gotten up because of the love that they had for another person. Like, you know, some people have passed because they loved another person so much and they were like, I'm good. And I think, in closing, this is something that those of us who are really lovey people have to remember. We really do have to remember that setting boundaries is a form of self-love. And we have to remember that slowing down and taking care of ourselves is one of the ways that we show our self-love. And for me, 7 minutes and 17 seconds, as I'm going to say that on the hour, when you love yourself, other people's issues, other people's not loving you is not so bad. Again, there is still a bit of a sting, but it's not as bad. So like when I first came in this closet and I was crying and my feelings were super hurt because I wasn't ready. If I had been ready, I would have been like, oh, this is just the same old. This is the same old situation that tends to happen. I really appreciate you guys being here with me. I appreciate you guys allowing me to share my vulnerable moments with you all, allowing me to cry my little tears and to be sad. And then to process through things and to talk to you, because it really does help. It really does help. Excuse me. So in summary, being a lover person requires that you take better care of yourself. It requires that you set boundaries with other people. It requires that you take time for yourself to get your mind right before you deal with people who you already know are problematic people. Be compassionate with yourself. We are human. So even if you're a person who is on a spiritual journey, you do metaphysical shit, even if you're a person who, you know, you're a leader of a company, you are human, so you will make mistakes. This is what we do. So be compassionate with yourself. Shadow work, therapy, it is a never-ending journey. When you sign up for that, that is essentially a part of the maintenance that you will do. Ooh, one of the episodes of Rick and Morty that I actually really liked was the episode with the therapist, and a lot of people didn't like it. Particularly a lot of men who like aligned themselves with Rick Sanchez and they're like, oh my god, he's totally me. And I'm like, Rick has a lot of problems that he got to work through. So the fact that you feel that way, you need to talk to your therapist. But one of the things that she was saying, his therapist was saying in the episode, is she was like, the thing about therapy, the thing about this type of work is it's boring as fuck. It's maintenance. It's not flashy. You can't do it so wrong that you're gonna die, and you can't do it so right that it's gonna change the entire world. It's gonna be just this big thing. It's not super extra. It is just work. It's like taking a shower or brushing your teeth or taking a poop. Like, it's just something that you do. It is maintenance. It's good maintenance. And over time, the maintenance that you're doing, you will see the result of it. You'll see the result of the therapy. 10 minutes and 10 seconds as I say that. So if somebody is about to start therapy, or you're thinking of starting therapy, I implore you to do so. As soon as my finances from escrow come out of there, I will be having a therapy session at least once a week. At least once a week. Even when things are good, because it's good to maintain. It's like taking your car in to get your car looked at. It's good to get your car a full tune-up, a full look at least every 6 months, maybe more. I haven't had a car in forever, so I don't remember how often you should get it taken in, but it's maintenance. This whole process, it's work. It's not always, super flashy. But in the moments where you do get the thing that you attracted, in the moments where you do feel that euphoria, it's so worth it. It's so worth it. I love you guys. I hope you have a good morning, evening, afternoon, or night. I hope that you feel good. If you have also been angry, an hour, 11 minutes, and 11 seconds. If you have also been angry recently, I feel you. I feel you. And remember that anger is actually healthy for you to experience. Even rage is healthy for you to experience. It's about finding outlets for yourself that feel good. So maybe do a video. Maybe don't post it, depending upon how angry you are. But find outlets. Go online, find outlets for anger. And for those of you who do have a little bit of money, if you do have anger management issues, and I've had them, get a workbook, especially if you're not in therapy. Or if you can't really, if you can't afford therapy right now, but you got a little bit of change, get a cheap anger management book online. I did. And it asked I didn't even finish the workbook. I got halfway through it and knew exactly where my issues were coming from. I knew exactly what was wrong and what I needed to do to fix it. So I still get angry now. I still get furious. I'll be cussing, I'll be going off when I'm by myself in the car. Because the thing is I don't like putting people in a position where they feel like they have to carry all of that. But I do go off when I'm alone, cussing, angry. I say all kinds of manners of evil. But then after that, I usually feel better. I'm a venter. I'm a person who, as I am able to talk about something, as I'm able to talk through it, I feel better. So I feel so good right now. I will sleep well. I will be fine. And I hope I do, because I gotta get up in a few hours. But anyways, I love you guys so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your likes, your comments, your subscriptions. Even though you do not have to do that. You never have to do that. I appreciate it. There was a person who was like, hey, I'm here now. I love this video that you did. It was the I'm all over the place video. And I was like, well, I hope this person's all right with the fact that they may see a lot of videos that don't have that energy. They might. But, because I never know, because these are all unscripted. But I love you guys. Sleep well. After this video, if you're up and you have other stuff to do or other things to watch, enjoy. I hope it's good stuff. And I will holler at you guys tomorrow night. Take care of yourselves. Bye.